time has finally come to pull out the spotlight and burn a hole into the darkness.
My name is Robert Massetti. I am the festival director of the Freakshow Horror Film Festival. This is our 16th year of bringing independent horror films to Orlando. And, you know, it's just a great passion of mine to bring this event to Orlando and help independent filmmakers present their work. Basically, my parents were huge fans of horror, and they used to go to the drive-in a lot, and that's what got me into horror. My mom used to watch Dark Shadows all the time, so it was kind of ingrained in me. And then I started watching Creature Feature from Chicago, so they had Creature Feature every Friday night, and they show the classic monster movies, and Dracula, Frankenstein, and all that stuff. Yeah, actually a lot of films in the last few years are playing now on Shudder. They're playing on Showtime and Tubi. So it's been like I don't have a subscription anymore, but I had a subscription to Shudder, and I'm like, oh my God, that played at the festival, that played at the festival, that played at the festival, and then I can go down. I was thinking about contacting Tubi because they have so many movies that played at the festival. I'm like, I should have my own section on Tubi for Freakshow Horror Film Festival. They go to freakshowfilmfest.com and they can get all the information on. They can submit their films. We just started a short screenplay competition. We're probably going to continue that next year. So if there's any screenwriters out there that want to submit their screenplays, they can. But we take shorts and features, documentaries, animation, whatever, comedies, as long as it's in the horror genre.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can you help me? So, you live in a hotel.
Like whiskey?
You shouldn't have stayed.
I want to see how this ends.
Why did you stay? It's a lot to take in. I know. I don't know what you think happened, but you tripped and hit your head.
You believe in reincarnation?
I'm that boring?
Someone else was here. You okay?
Run! When we do this again, you run.
You like whiskey?
You shouldn't believe this.
So my film is called Zero Avenue. It's about kind of a desperate nerd who hires an unassuming dominatrix to help kill himself on this birthday. Little does she know he's an immortal. He can't really die. But let me just say that plan doesn't go as planned. So there's a lot of backstories of how this finally got made. And we did shoot it just when the pandemic was about to come to the United States. And our first AD was from Bologna. Bologna in Italy was kind of the epicenter of the Italian coronavirus disaster. And it was really horrible. I don't know if you remember, but Bologna was, there was a massive outbreak there. And she would just be on her phone and tell us, like, my parents can't leave the house anymore. And we were like, when is this coming? Is this not coming? When is it coming? And literally 3 days after we wrapped the movie, New York City shut down. And I do not think this movie would have been, I don't think it would have survived the pandemic. So meaning that if it got shut down during the pandemic, I don't think it would have seen the light of day, because reanimating a movie is horrible?
Well, we wanted to work together. We lived in the same building and became friends in the hallway. And so he was like, I'm a producer, I'm a writer, let's see what can happen. And, you know, it was just, you know, us. He wrote a short film that he cast me in, and we had a really great working relationship. So we're like, let's come up with something that's one location, few characters, preferably two. We were originally going to shoot it in an apartment, his or mine, and then he stumbled upon this location, and we changed a few parts around in the script to make it apply.
I was like, don't send me another draft. I just prepared notes in this.
He would say drafts. I would say changing scenes. Whatever we were shooting that day, maybe a word or two would change. But no, I mean, I think it was, you know, it was the first script that I'd ever written, and he gave me so much leeway to have really creative control over the words. And so I would be like, can we change this? Can we change that? And we'd workshop it, and then it would work. So it's I know how lucky I was.
Well, can I jump in, because we talked about we kind of laid the framework for the story together, and then in, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks, he said, I have a first draft. And if you hear this as a, you know, someone who has worked with screenplays before, like 3 weeks later, a full feature-length screenplay, that can only be very bad. So I was very nervous to read it. And so it has to be shit. And I was like, wow, this is good. Oh no, this is really good. This is really, really good. And so I'd say within a very, very short amount of time, he produced a very, very, very solid first draft. And he reworked it a bit, but I would say the overall stones were put in their places.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, COVID had just happened, and he quarantined in Switzerland. So any communication we had was through FaceTime. And so he was, you know, had to get the music together. I mean, he was literally doing everything. And I think that I started to panic because it was COVID, and I was sitting in my house all by myself, not knowing what to do and only thinking about this. And then he sent me a rough cut asking me for some notes, and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good.
Braeson and I worked on something, or he wrote something a little bit similar with, like, that I had an idea and gave it to him, but even less so, like, this was just like a location basically, or an idea of a location, less so than with Zero Avenue, where it was more like small cast, and this was just like, okay, here's a location. And then I'm working on one fiction project and a serial project and another completely different type of fiction project in Europe. So I have a bunch of things cooking, but we'll see what hits first, because if this movie taught me something, is that you never know what your next project really is until it happens.
Don't you think this blood and guts, low-budget horror stuff's kind of obsolete?
Yeah.
Obsolete?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Can I show you guys something?
Oh, you saved me!
Can't wait to see what you guys got me.
In the email, you called him balls and cock!
I have your attention now.
Stole your soul.
This isn't a game.
It is a game, Larry.
You've all been poisoned.
How long do I have to hold this shit for?
Let's go upstairs before I pass out.
Don't you have something to file? Is it impossible? Or is it voodoo, baby? Give good head.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you.
Mother of fucking!
Duck!
Oh, I'm gonna kill you!
kissing me! Shane!
The show is over.
The film is called The Comedy of Horrors, Volume 1. It's a series of 5 films, 4 films and an interstitial that ties all the stories together. Kellan, a couple of years ago, had come up with this idea. Let's, do something that we can do quick. We can get a lot of the people that we want to work with working on the film, do something local. And this was the idea he came up with. And we ran with that.
So the story that ties the other 4 stories together is a substitute teacher comes in to teach a pre-K class. And she comes in and she has her storybook with her, and she's going to tell these amazing stories to these kids, keep them entertained all day. Unfortunately for them, they're not so age-appropriate stories, and they're kind of scary. So yeah, that's the story that ties it together.
Yeah. So the first story is Welcome to Clown Town, starring Mr. Franco over here.
And these 2 guys.
And basically, it is kind of a reverse on the scares of these scary clowns coming out of the woods and frightening people. And it's a town with people that are just clowns that live there. And they start getting picked off one by one. And Ken is the town sheriff. He lost his father a few years back to this serial killer. And
based on a true story.
Based on a true story. And now he's got to kind of come through and revenge his father, kind of Western style.
Got to solve the crime.
He's got to solve the crime, and it's Dumb and Dumber basically trying to solve a crime.
And Dan here plays Chuckles, and the killer is after Chuckles, and so he's the guy that the killer's chasing while we're trying to figure out, where he's going next. The killer's going now, who he's going to kill next, and we figure out it's him, and we go to his house, and all mayhem breaks loose.
So number 2 is called Fun with Berkeley.
And that's the puppet one that you see, with the puppet attacking. So in that one, we have Jimmy Bellinger. So if you ever see the Skittles Pox commercial, where the kid's under the bleachers, and he's got them on its face, and she picks it off, and she eats it, that's Jimmy Bellinger. He's also in Liv and Maddie on Disney. Blockers with John Cena. So, yeah, so he's in that. Glad we were able to get him. He's from Maryland. That's where we're from. And I've known him since he was a little kid. So that's how we got him onto our film.
Yeah. And that one is the story about?
A puppet that is possessed by a demon and just...
Freaks out.
Yes, just likes killing people.
He used to have a show like Elmo, and now I guess the show's not on anymore, and the puppet lives in a case with the guy that used to be the star of the show, and mayhem ensues.
Yeah, for fun, the puppet likes to pick people off.
And the third one is called Bridesmaids. And it's
Last Maid Standing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Last Maid Standing.
Bridesmaids was that movie with Melissa McCarthy.
I get them mixed up.
Oh,
that is also part of our movie. Yeah, we have Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig thing. Yeah, definitely see it because of that.
And so Bridesmaids,
Last Maid Standing.
Last Maid Standing is about a bachelorette party, and it starts off, and I won't give too much away, but one of the friends kills herself and leaves a note and says, it's up to you guys to decide who's going to be the bridesmaid. I have poisoned you all, left an antidote for the bride and who she picks as her bridesmaid, and I left all these weapons for you to figure it out. And so that's kind of how it takes off. And then the 5th one?
And then the 5th one, the one that's shot in Atlanta by Matt Servito, is called Good Head. So it's about a superstar superhero actor who has a franchise, and he has to get special effects makeup done, practical specialist. So he goes to a special effects makeup artist who steals his soul, and he tries to get it back of his head, and he tries to get it back, or he wants it back because he's manipulating him.
with this. So Matt wrote that, but we did create that story with
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
And that has a lot of people from the Your Pretty Faces Going to Hell on Adult Swim. So
They were
Henry
watching.
Zabrowski and Matt Servito and
Addie Wyrick.
Addie Wyrick. So
we've already signed our distribution deal with Glass House Pictures, which is they have a genre arm called Bloodhouse, and it will fall under that. And next week, actually, at AFM, American Film Market, they're going to start selling it. So we should start seeing some sales, hopefully, within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So, which would be good.
Which would be great, yeah, because then we can do
And then we can do
Comedy
another
Horrors
one.
Volume 2.
Then we can do another one.
Is there a volume 2 in the works?
Yes.
Yes, there is. There's
Yes,
Volume
there
2
is.
in the works.
We've already discussed it, and we learned a lot from doing the first one. So the second one, we'll streamline it, and absolutely, it will be a better process.
More dancing scenes for Franco.
And we'll push the envelope. So yeah.
And that's part of what we're trying to do with everything that we've done, from The Night Watchman to this one, to the one we actually shot during COVID, which is called The Town Called Purgatory, and that's in the can being edited right now. But we want to kind of do what people are comfortable with watching, but different. Take a different bend on the different genres. So that's kind of where we're at. And comedy is one thing we love doing, and comedy horror is our favorite. We're Shaun of the Dead fans and Zombieland, and these type of films that we could actually. At least I could actually go see with my wife. She won't see a horror film, but she'll see a comedy horror film.
Like Human Centipede, that was a good comedy horror film. I laughed.
Hey guys, welcome back. So I've got a huge surprise for you. My wonderful boyfriend, say hi. Surprised me with a weekend getaway to this crazy cabin. But there's a catch. So there's no internet, and my phone is completely out of service. I mean, we barely got here. This is going to be our last post before we return to civilization, so just be sure to stick around and subscribe. Bye, guys.
So the Girl in Cabin 13's about a girl and her boyfriend go out to a secluded cabin, and all of a sudden, you have a couple masked men appear and they start harassing them at night. So it took in total 7 days of shooting. Obviously we had about 1 month of pre-production, we had 1 month of shooting, and then it took about 6 weeks of editing to finish the film. Well, this is a COVID film, so we were like, all right, how do we make a COVID film? Because we have to follow protocols and everything. So we're like, we all decided to go out to a cabin and socially distance ourselves, and this is what we came up with during a very challenging time. We've had this idea for a little bit now. It's just sort of refining it and trying to, work within our budget and work within our scope is what we were trying to do. But I mean, we've had a lot of ideas. It's just trying to figure out like which one we could do next, which one we could do with the actors that we know, with the budget that we can do. So I mean, we probably had the idea a year ago, but it didn't come to fruition until maybe really a month before we decided to actually shoot it.
I think, we have kind of like a little bit of a stable. I mean, I think everyone has that idea or a few ideas, and it's really kind of figuring out, okay, of these ideas, which one is going to be ideal. And as he was mentioning with COVID and all the protocols, well, we kind of said, hey, let's do a, really tight staff, really tight crew. What can we kind of do as a quick psychological thriller? And, again, a cabin in the woods. So I kind of just, propelled from there. And it was a really quick process for kind of getting the details and turning it around. And the major focus was always, how do we get in and get it done when everything's all crazy production-wise?
So we're actually right back into it. We have another feature film coming out, or that we're about to begin shooting in November 12th through 20th. This one, Yeah, we don't wait. It's another one location haunted house. Happens in one night. It's about a couple streamers that are going to lock themselves into a house. We're going to have gore. We're going to have fun. It's going to move. So we're really looking forward to shooting that one. And it's also a local film here in Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, one of the goals that we had is, the best way to improve is to finish a film. And, with 9 films now, we're really getting into a groove. And the idea was, hey, let's, ramp up and, do as many as we can in a year. Then COVID happened, so we kind of put a little bit of a pause on that, but now we're really getting back into the cycle of it. And I mean, being here, being in Orlando, I think it's really great timing for everything. We're really excited for everything to come.
You can follow our films on Amazon Prime. Our other 8 features are on there. This one's going to release December 14th. It's going to be on Apple TV. It's going to possibly be on Shudder, but it'll be on any streaming platform, which is like Amazon Prime, Tubi, iTunes release, any major streaming carrier. I think Comcast has it as well. So pretty much anywhere you can stream it, you'll be able to find it.
And you had a production company or something like that?
Well, make sure to follow us at DBS Films Studio, so you can follow that on Instagram as well. That's going to be able to see all of the stuff. We post our casting calls there, so anyone in the local area, if you want to get involved, let us know. Give us a follow at DBS Film. We'd love to be interactive, and I mean, honestly, the best part of film is doing it, so we love to help out however we can.
Very good.